Greetings everyone and welcome back to another episode of STOCAST. Today I want to ask the question, are star ratings useless? So recently I did my review on the Parliament, which was a bit controversial. I think a lot of people were really down on the ship when it was announced because it appears to not be very good at doing the one thing you do with your ship, which is to kill stuff. It is a full Miracle Worker ship, but the tactical seating is pretty light. The console layout is not great for tactical and all that stuff. And I made the point that if you're playing on normal or advanced difficulty, then every star is a 5-star ship. And in fact, even on elite difficulty, really any ship you use is fine. That's a refrain I commonly say, that any tier 6 ship, any tier 5 U ship, frankly, can do any of the content in the game. And even with a somewhat unorthodox and not very powerful build that I put on the Parliament, I was still able to do my regular elite content for testing and for recording for the video and all that. So it was fine. So that kind of raises the question, well, if every ship is fine, if every ship can do the content, then what's the point in even distinguishing between them, right? Because if I'm going to give a performance score out of 5 stars, that implies that, there's at least 5 distinct categories we can chop the ships up into. There's 1-star ships, 2-star ships, and there's some kind of significant difference between a 2-star ship than a 1-star ship, and so on and so forth, so that it actually justifies having this sliding scale. But that's a bit tricky because, like I said, if all the ships can do all the content, then aren't they all kind of 5 stars? Clearly we can't use that as a criteria for performance, and so something that maybe doesn't get across is it's all relative, right? So, someone in the comment section said, well, I did 1.3 million DPS with the Parliament, and that's really amazing. That's a lot of damage, but other people are doing like 2 million DPS with different ships. So if the rating is based on objective performance, like how big the numbers are, then every ship is 5 stars because you can do really big numbers with every ship. But if it's based on relative terms, like how good is it compared to other ships, what's the opportunity cost, how much more could I do with a different ship, then maybe that's still worth something. But who is that for? I mean, if you can do everything you want with any ship you have, then what difference does it make if a ship is relatively better or worse than another ship? If the speed limit is 65 and a 1-star car can do 160 miles an hour, but a 5-star car can go 250 miles an hour, does it really matter? And so I'm thinking about changing that category. I just recorded 2 reviews for the Mirror Warship and the Tier 6 Steam Runner. Those still have performance scores, but I'm thinking about changing it so that it's no longer a performance score, but a ship score. So it's still going to be for the ship itself and not for the traits and consoles and stuff, but it's going to be more focused on what you can do with it, what its intended role is, and that kind of stuff. And I think I wanted to do that originally. I wanted to take that into account more when I originally came up with this system, but that kind of fell away, and it kind of just reverted back to, well, how much damage can you do with it? Does it support a meta build? If it doesn't support a meta build, does it support some kind of other build and stuff like that? So I think I might be going for something a bit more subjective, a bit less numbers based, and just more of a score like, well, what is it claiming to be, and then how well does it pull that off? So basically, like, how good is the ship at being what it says it is, if that makes any sense. Like, the Parliament is a survey cruiser, so it's a cruiser. It's definitely not intended to be a tactical ship. It has survey in the name, so that's why it has the science focus. And then so if we say, well, if I did some kind of a build that reflected that, then how good would it be at doing that, or something like that. I would still have to work on this, but sort of meeting the ship on its own terms and giving it a ship score Clearly, performance has to be included in that. But like, does all 5 stars reliant on that? Or is that just part of the score? So like, could a ship like the Parliament have gotten a 3 or a 4? Is there some universe where I say, okay, the Parliament isn't trying to be a tactical ship. I'm going to take 1 point off because it's you know, on the bottom end of that scale, but maybe the numbers thing just represents 1 or 2 stars out of the 5 stars or something like that. You know, maybe ships can earn stars other ways. I don't know. You know, I would be interested in your feedback on this. I think there's still a lot of art as well as science when it comes to reviewing ships and giving out ratings and giving out scores and stuff like that. And is that something people even want? You know, there's other ways to do it. I used to do it out of 10. It was a blank out of 10, 7 out of 10, 10 out of 10, whatever. Or you could give it, you know, letter ratings, an A, B, C, and F, something like that. I'm doing star ratings right now. I think it works well to separate it out so that, you know, the ship gets a different rating than, you know, the stuff that comes with the ship. But this is definitely still something that needs to be mulled over. I think the next Starship review I do is going to have a ship score instead of a performance score. But like I said, I really still have to figure out what that means exactly. So if you guys want to weigh in the comments section and tell me what you think, that would be helpful. I think it's definitely going to be a little bit more well-rounded though. Like, a ship isn't going to automatically get 5 stars just because it suits a meta build, because that's the criteria right now. If you can take a meta build and put it on there more or less without very many compromises, it's automatic 5 stars. But if you don't like the meta, if you don't like the meta builds, if you don't, because right now the meta is kinetics. If you don't like kinetics, or rather I should say that's the meta for elite difficulty. It's not necessarily the meta for advanced difficulty. And that means that it's not necessarily the meta for the difficulty that most people play. If you're on advanced, energy weapons could be considered the meta. So a ship might be really good at doing ISE, but maybe it's not the best for doing a broadside build, which is what most of the people who get the ship are actually going to do with it. So I think that has to be taken into consideration too. And maybe like a ship that's really flexible, that can do multiple different kinds of builds well, will get a higher score. So like maybe you get brownie points for being able to do a powerful build, you get some points for being flexible, you get some points for you know, being unique, you get some points for, you know, being a really good version of whatever it is that you are. So maybe there's still something relative in there, but instead of being relative just in terms of doing damage, it's like, well, if this is a tanking ship, how good is it relative to other ships that are trying to be tank ships or something like that? So I think I'm rambling at this point. I'm repeating myself a lot, but I haven't done a STOCAST in a while, and it's a topic that really got me thinking after the Parliament review that it might be time for another update to the rating system. So that's what I have for you today. Enjoy yourselves. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.